Welcome, everybody, to Survive in Advance on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. Survive in Advance is brought to you, of course, as always, by MyBookie.ag. To find out more about MyBookie.ag, go to the top of the GruelingTruth.com, click on the MyBookie.ag banner at the top of the page, and you will get up to 100% cash bonus now, up to your first $300 deposited. I am your co-host for Survive in Advance, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my co-host, 1981 national champion, member of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
It's draft day, baby. One of the biggest days of the year. Kind of up there, just below the Super Bowl. I mean, this is one of the biggest attended events the NFL does. Maybe second only to the Super Bowl. They're expecting over 100,000 people at this thing in Nashville tonight.
Well, that's stupid. All right, and
wait. You know, Mike. Wait. Here's the amazing thing, and I found this out this morning. They actually give the tickets away free.
Well,
I mean, you would think they would sell seating. The NFL, the way they don't give anything away free, but there's a lottery pick for the people to get into the draft room itself. But there's no charge. You just got to get a lottery number.
Well, they probably also sell $15, $20 beer there and $10 water, so they'll still make some money off of it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure Nashville's paying a hefty price to have them there.
All right, next up, we have our guest today, once again from the FF Faceoff show. Help me welcome to the show, Anthony Cervino. How you doing, Anthony?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
All right.
Hey, Mike, I don't think Anthony's a guest anymore.
Yeah. NFL Draft Week, he's a co-host.
He's a co-host, yeah. We enjoy him in that position.
We have one more special guest today who's here, and he'll join in the discussion. He's also going to look at some of the top small college prospects in the NFL Draft. Help me welcome the head football coach at Johnson Faith Athletic College, Zen Bliss. How you doing, Zen?
Good. How are you guys today?
All right. Now, see, this is not Zen's first rodeo, Steve, because Zen was on an old show that we had a couple years ago that was called the Gridiron Mo's Super Bowl Trivia Show, which Zen still thinks was the highlight of his life. Correct, Zen?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Did you win or lose?
I lost by one.
Who'd you lose to, do you remember?
I got beat out by a question about the 1972 Miami Dolphins undefeated team. Somebody that returned a block kick for a touchdown. I didn't have his name. Forgot his name. Yes. Yep. That was it. And I didn't have it. And somebody beat me out with it. And I lost by one.
Do you remember
who you lost to?
No. Gary Upremian kicked the ball.
To this day.
Yeah. Gary Upremian kicked the ball. Mike Bass caught it, or when it got blocked in midair, and returned it down the sideline for a touchdown. And if you want to learn more about Mike Bass, which it sounds like Steve and Zen do, you can go to thegruelingtruth.com, put Mike Bass in the search engine, and you can find where we interviewed him on the Legends show a couple years ago. He's a great guy. All right, Anthony, what are the hot rumors today? Because I popped up on CBS Sports that the Oakland Raiders are considering trading up to number 1 to get Kyler Murray. Do you think there's anything with that?
I think there's a possibility there. I think the number 1 pick is up for grabs right now, and we haven't heard a lot about Josh Rosen except for teams might be swaying away from acquiring him. And if that's the case, I think the Cardinals' best opportunity is to move that pick, accumulate the draft choices, and fill the other holes on your team.
So, Zen, what do you think of Kyler Murray coming into this draft? Do you think that he is a guy worthy of the first pick in the draft?
No. Watched some game film on him last week. Caught about 2 games worth of highlights. I see him. I don't see him. Personally, I don't see him as a first-round pick. I think he's a good athlete. I don't think he has what it takes to sit in the pocket, take the punishment that an NFL quarterback takes. I think it'll lead to some turnovers. You know, he'll have some big plays because he's a great athlete, but I don't think that he's going to be able to lead a team with his arm.
All right, so I think we all agree on. I think he's a guy that if he goes to the right situation, I think the Cardinals would be the right situations in if it wasn't for the fact that Cliff Kingsbury was the running the offense.
Well, I'm a big advocate of the air raid system that he's come up in. I don't
Me
know
too. I'm just not a big proponent of Cliff Kingsbury.
No, how he got the Arizona Cardinal job, in the NFL with a losing record in the NCAA is beyond me. You were better off to offer that job to, one of his mentors, Mike Leach or Hal Mumme, more deserving than Cliff Kingsbury. I know he's innovative. And the NFL, wants some innovative guys. They want offense to be, it draws everybody, and that's what they want. Whether he can get that done or not is we'll know in a couple of years. But I don't see him having some great success in the NFL, and I don't see Kyler Murray having it either.
Listen,
go ahead.
I don't know if it's character issues, but I'm big on intangibles. Give me a player who, especially a quarterback with intangibles and who has a good head on his shoulders and shows that he cares. I'll take that. I'll take a Dak Prescott over somebody with the talent of Jamarcus Russell who didn't have it. And Kyler Murray, I don't like his body language or the way he talks in interviews. I saw a report that he didn't even show up to an interview that most of these prospects participate in. It was either yesterday or the day before. He still might want to play baseball. There's just so many red flags here for me.
Yes.
That's it. It's the baseball. I think he's going to hold that. His agent will hold that over these NFL teams' heads. And if he doesn't go to the right situation or drafted high, I think he'll go play baseball. And
I think if he doesn't go to the top,
anyway.
I think if he's not number one, there's a chance he could go to baseball immediately.
Very possible. Very possible. And I don't know who was just talking, but I think you hit the nail on the head with the body language and not showing up for things. That's a big red flag. Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, I read too. I read too that apparently he was supposed to be at a charity event yesterday and blew it off and didn't tell anybody. Just didn't show up. And, that concerns some people. I mean, he had committed to go, committed to be there, but he didn't even tell anybody. He just didn't show up. And so, again, you talk about character issues. This guy reminds me a little bit, Mike, and you can beat me down on this, but Robert Griffin III.
Oh, no. Robert Griffin III was a fine quarterback. He just had a coach that decided he wanted a guy that weighed under 200 pounds to run around a lot. I mean, RG3 was, the rookie of the year? His first year. He led the Redskins to the playoffs, and then they played him when he was hurt. I wouldn't put RG3 in this case. I think RG3, when you look at him, I think he's still top 10 NCAA history in passing. To me, RG3, correct me if I'm wrong here, Zen, but that was a guy who was a really good pocket passer, and they tried to change him, I thought, when they got to the NFL.
They did. They took him out of his comfort zone a little bit. He excelled with the RPO stuff. He was one of the reasons that the NFL started to adopt some of the RPO concepts, and they married that with in college at Baylor with the air raid system again, and he really excelled with it. It bought him some time in the pocket. He stood in the pocket as well to get rid of the ball in college, and once he got hurt in the NFL, though, I think he was a little bit, had some happier feet and bailed out sooner than he had to. And that's caused him to bounce around a little bit and be on the bench. But absolutely, Coach, you're right. He was a good player.
Yeah.
When Mike Shanahan was there,
I didn't say he wasn't a bad player.
No, but the thing is this, I don't think RG Griffin or Robert Griffin had the same body language issues that Kyler Murray has. I think that he just got stuck in a bad situation with the wrong coach in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Absolutely.
So I still think Robert Griffin, if he goes somewhere else or Shanahan uses him the way he should have used him, he would still be successful in the NFL, and the Redskins wouldn't be considering drafting a quarterback in what I think is a god-awful quarterback draft this year. What other rumors? You got any other rumors? What?
Let's be honest. One more thing on RG3. if you look at the kid in Chicago, Mitchell Trubisky, very similar skill set is RG3. And Mitchell Trubisky is, has the right head coach right now. Really excelled this year, took a step forward. And I believe that, like you said, Coach, under the right coaching, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
Well, I'm not a big Mitchell Trubisky fan. I think he did show improvement this year. I think the problem with the offense up there is they had Jordan Howard, and they didn't give him the ball enough.
That earlier in the season, they did not. Later in the season, he kind of got on a roll, and it helped get them into the playoffs.
So, Steve will tell you. I mean, even if you're a football player, an Indiana University athlete is usually superior to everybody else. Correct, Steve?
No doubt. Except for the last 20 years.
Oh, football, they've had some players. Just some, but they've never had them all at the same time where they could have a successful season. But, Anthony, what other rumors are you hearing right now?
I see a report that they're feeling around the league is that your Bengals are not going to take a quarterback in the first round, which we both agree with.
Yeah.
We both believe in Andy Dalton. And the Dolphins and the Redskins could be two teams trying to trade up and get their quarterback.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins will. But my question is this. Do you really need to trade up? Because how many teams in the top 10 need a quarterback? If the Bengals aren't going to go quarterback, and if the Cardinals pass on Murray, I mean, there's not a whole lot of teams grabbing quarterbacks. And really, when I look at the quarterbacks in this draft, they're all kind of the same to me, where they all have glaring issues that make them a risk.
Agreed. Drew Lock is probably the best prospect, in my opinion. Some of the rumors I've been hearing, the Redskins are going to trade up. They're either going to take Haskins or Locke. And one rumor I heard this morning was the Giants are going to trade for Josh Rosen. Either the Giants or the Dolphins.
Yeah, I still think the way for the Giants to go is to draft an offensive lineman at number 6 and to draft the best defensive player they can find at 17. And in the second round, draft Ryan Finley or Tyree Jackson. How about that?
I like Tyree Jackson from the University of Buffalo, absolutely.
I do too, and I like Finley. And the thing about Jackson is if you pick him in the second round or the third round or whenever, nobody's going to expect him to play right away, so you don't have the pressure of putting him in if Eli sucks during the season. And the main thing to me is he's a guy that's never had a quarterback's coach till the last few months. Now, the thing that does worry me is that quarterback coach that he's decided to hire is Jordan Palmer, who I'm not a huge fan of as a quarterback's coach. So that worries me a little bit. But I think Jackson, physically, you talk about arm strength, he's a kid that instead of needing to improve his arm strength then, actually needs to learn to throw with a little bit more touch.
Agreed. Yeah, he can make all the throws that the NFL requires, and then some. The problem that it's been, and that he's going to have in the NFL is that, when he has to throw in between the corner and the safety in that little 18 to 22-yard area, can he lay it in there? That's the issue right now.
Well, and I think the biggest key to be able to throw that 18 to 22-yarder in between coverage, I think the biggest thing is how good somebody's feet are. So you've probably watched more Jackson than I have, because I'd watched a little bit film, but not much till this morning, and I really like the kid. My question is, does he have the footwork where he can move up in the pocket and kind of slide one way or the other to get in position to throw that ball?
That's another issue that he's going to have. No, he does not have that type of NFL footwork yet. I think this last year he improved on it for sure, but he's not there yet.
Yeah, and my question with Jackson is that footwork, when you have a 23-year-old quarterback, is usually hard to teach because it's not in their muscle memory. But the fact that I don't think he's really been coached before makes me think there's more of a chance that this can be taught to him.
That's a good way to look at it. Absolutely. You get a kid that you can mold into what you want. I how could you not fall in love with the arm and the size?
Yeah, and I think this, a team like Cincinnati, I think if you could get Tyree Jackson into third round, I'd jump all over that because he could sit, he could learn for a couple years. Ken Zampese's not there being the quarterbacks coach anymore, so they've got to have an improved quarterbacks coach. So I think Tyree Jackson in like the third or fourth round for the Bengals would be a great pick.
I agree with that. And then, in a couple years, Andy Dalton, he's not getting any younger. He's had a lot of success, some success in the NFL. That would be a good guy to pass the torch to.
Well, Zen, any Bengals quarterback that ever lived that went to the playoffs 5 years in a row had tremendous success.
Very true. Very true.
All right, Steve, let's touch on your Colts. Oh, go ahead.
Well, tying into the rumor that the Redskins are going to draft up to try and get a quarterback, they're going to try and get up to number 4.
Yeah.
The only downside of that is rumor also has it that Dan Snyder is going to take over the first round of the draft.
That's why they're going to try to trade up to number 4 to take a quarterback that's worth going late in the first round or mid-second round.
Yeah, but even with number 4, Snyder may decide he wants a punter or a kicker or something like that.
Well, you know what? If you don't have a good quarterback, I think I can speak for Zen on this. The next best thing to have is a great punter.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anthony.
And according to Marshawn Lynch's mom, don't be so fast on him retiring. Marshawn Lynch's mom says he may not be retiring. There's another rumor floating out there.
All right. What else you got, Anthony?
Nelson Aguilar could be on the trading block out of Philadelphia, which opens them up to draft a receiver. And obviously Tyreek Hill, if you heard the news, was not charged due to a lack of evidence in so many words, but the NFL can still suspend him.
Yeah. Well, it's always good to have a lot of money when you get in trouble, too. I'll leave that at that. I'm not saying he's guilty or not guilty.
Look for the Buffalo Bills to trade either with the Falcons or the Eagles for one of their deep receivers there in Atlanta or Aguilar out of Philadelphia.
Yeah, I would think Aguilar to Buffalo would make sense for Buffalo because they need weapons for Josh Allen.
That hurt him. That hurt his development last year. There's a kid I really like. He's got all the tools as well. He's just raw, and you could see what a great athlete he was last year. Making some big runs and some big throws at key times for them. They just didn't have enough offensively to win games. Once they get some pieces around him, I think the Buffalo Bills are going to be a good team again.
All right, so let's go ahead and let's look at this. We'll start off, instead of going small college first, we're going to go, a few guys that maybe will be later round picks that would be great value picks. And I'm going to start this off because from watching film this morning, I found this guy. I'd heard of him. I'd forgotten about him because nobody really mentions him. And we talked about linebackers the other day. And I'm not a big fan of Devin White or Devin Bush. I think that teams can actually sit down and just run the ball right at them. I found a guy that I actually think is better than both of them, Anthony. And that's Ben Burr-Kirven from Washington. Have you seen him at all?
No, why don't you tell me about him?
This is a guy who I think is great at shedding blocks. He, like the other guys, is a little bit undersized, but unlike White and Bush, I think he has the ability to use his hands to be able to get blockers off of him to still attack in the run game. He doesn't have great speed, but his change of direction is really good. He's got nice hips for a linebacker, and when I look at him, the thing that really sticks out to me is I think his route recognition skills are like miles ahead of White and Bush. I think he's just a smarter kid. And really, he's got the skills and athleticism to close on the football in a hurry. And with his ability to read routes, I think this is a guy that whoever gets him, they're getting the best linebacker in this draft.
Where is he projected to go?
I haven't even seen him projected to go anywhere, and I don't care because I didn't look it up. I just watched the film, and when I watched the film, this kid I think is really good. Zen, have you seen this kid at all?
I have not, but I can agree with you to a certain extent. There's always guys that aren't on anybody's radar that come into the NFL and just take it by storm. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if this kid, is able to do something like that.
All right, Steve, you got anything on Benberg Curvin, or did I just throw everybody a complete curveball?
That's a curve. That's a knuckler curve to me.
That's a lot of names too. Anthony, who stands out to you that could go later that is going to be a great value? You talked about a guy like a Leighton Vander Esch yesterday, or Darius Leonard, 3rd round last year. I think Leonard was the best linebacker in the draft, and he went in the 3rd round. Is there anybody that stands out to you a little later?
At linebacker?
At anywhere.
There's a couple of receivers. This is a deep wide receiver class. I know we talked about that a little bit the other day. If there's a late receiver value, I think we touched on Paris Campbell a little bit, but he's a player that I've seen projected go anywhere from late 1st to 3rd or even 4th round.
Okay. Zen, you know of anybody?
Yeah, there's a kid. I was able to attend the Kennesaw State Pro Day.
All right. You going with the running back, right?
No.
No?
There's a kid that was there out of Georgia Southern. He's a defensive end. His name is Deshaun Cooper. Had a phenomenal workout. He's 6'3", 261. Ran a 4.840, which is, a little bit high for an NFL outside linebacker, rush edge guy, defensive end. 33-inch vertical, but his first step and his initial quickness were, second to none. You could see it. I could see it from the field watching him. I don't know if this kid's going to get drafted, but he's going to get an opportunity to go to somebody's rookie minicamp.
Yeah, and when you look at that, I think people really miss out on that. And you talked about it yesterday, Anthony, and what the New England Patriots have done with guys like that.
Yeah, it's the more you can do that a team like the Patriots can take advantage of, even if your skills aren't 100% honed in when you get into the league. They develop into really good players a year or two down the road.
All right. Let's see. Steve, you got anybody that may go later, or you want to pass right now?
I'll pass right now.
Okay. Steve's a basketball player. He wears shorts and a tank top, as Ed Biles so violently told him about a year ago on a show. Let's see. That was one of my favorite guests ever, too, because he ripped Steve the whole time because Steve played basketball. All right. What about the running back that's from Kennesaw State? I forget his name, but I know the kid averaged like 11 yards a carry he's in.
Yeah, I forget his name, too. He was there. Didn't really stand out to me. Again, with that kind of production, though, that's hard for the NFL teams to ignore. I'm going to assume, based off that production, that he'll get an opportunity.
All right. I'll give you a wide receiver. Anybody ever heard of Antoine Wesley from Texas Tech?
Slot receiver.
6'4", 206 pounds. Huge hands,
He's
huge frame. Yeah. He can play, though. The thing about him to me is he has really fluid hips and ankles, which helps a great deal when separating and especially after the catch. And I know when we talked about the best wide receivers in the draft the other day, I know a guy like N'Keal Harry was brought up, and I think Anthony likes him. And my big thing with these guys is when watching them, are they able to get separation? Because you can be a guy like a DK Metcalf that can run straight down the field, and nobody can cover you in college. But you get to the NFL, you get guys that are just as good an athlete as you. And this is a guy that I think really has the ability to get separation. And he's got a huge frame. He's got huge hands. And I don't even know if he'll be drafted, but I expect that he'll be playing on Sundays next year.
Any idea what his 40 was?
This is the thing, Zen. If you know me, you know I could care less.
You don't. I know. And usually I don't either. But it's just when you talk about separation, it's always good to know, what they time in a straight line.
Yeah, but the thing is this, with separation, to me, especially at the NFL level, the separation has more to do with your hips, your ankles, your ability to run a route. Because DK Metcalf, his separation all comes from being able to run straight line. And the thing about the Wesley kid I saw was a lot of times his separation is his ability, like if somebody's playing man press against him, his ability to use his hands to engage that kid's elbow, turn his shoulder, and get around him to get that separation. To me, when I talk about separation, that's what I'm talking about. Anybody can just run past somebody. I want somebody that when a guy gets physical with them, that they can still create the separation themselves.
Absolutely. Good feet, like you said, hips and ankles, being able to get that DB's hips turned, very critical, especially in the NFL where everybody's fast.
And I'll give you this. If you want a guy with a great 40 time, have you seen Kareth White from Florida Atlantic, the running back?
No.
He ran a 4.36 at his pro day, 42-inch vertical leap. He's 5'10", 197. And the thing that's impressive about him is this. Number one, they didn't even invite him to the combine. And he's got a teammate, Devin Singletary, who's also a really good running back. But this kid's fallen through the radar. And I think that this guy may even be a after-the-draft signing. But when you watch him, his film is loaded with huge plays. He's got great, what I would call, contact balance, very good with the jump cut, shifty, and his ability to shift and make cuts in the second and third levels of the defense, I think, makes him somebody that could be a really valuable player in the NFL. So,
good. That's good scouting right there.
Anthony? You got anybody else?
Nobody that deep.
Okay. Zen? You can even go small college now if you want.
All right. I was fortunate enough to coach in the HBCU Spirit of America Bowl this past January in Salem, Virginia. While I was there, I met two kids from Johnson C. Smith University, which is in North Carolina, near Charlotte. I believe it's a D2 university. There was two kids there. One is a defensive tackle. His name is Zach Cannon. Keep an eye on that name. 6'3", 310 pounds. This kid had exceptional quickness. Everybody talks, you play a 4-3 system. Everybody talks about, have a dominating 3 technique. This kid has the power to anchor. He's got the quickness to pass rush. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if he's not playing on Sundays this year. The last Johnson C. Smith player to get drafted was in 1991, was a running back. So it's been a while for anybody from Johnson C. Smith to go to the NFL. Another kid, Daquan Brown, was my guard. He was 6'3", 340 pounds, but he ran like he was 280 pounds. Quick feet. His punch just knocked guys backwards. It took them about 1.5 seconds to recover from his punch. That's how strong this kid was. And if you can, he could make a difference at the NFL level just with his power alone. That he could probably lose some weight and definitely contribute to a team and be playing on Sundays for sure.
Now, my question on the defensive tackle is this. Does he have any moves, or was he just using his speed or his strength, bull rushing, or just kind of running around people at that level?
Here's the thing with defensive tackles. Talking to NFL scouts and things, you got to have, coming into the NFL, you got to have 2 moves.
Yeah.
If you don't have 2 moves, they won't look at you.
That's what I'm asking. Does he have 2 moves?
He does. He has 3 moves, maybe even 4. This kid is very, very good.
All right, because, see, that's where a guy like Rashawn Gary scares me away from Michigan, because the only thing I see from him ever is just a bull rush.
Yep, that's not going to get it done at the next level. I don't care how strong you are, how quick you are. If you don't have some moves in your toolbox, you won't last long. You won't last long at the NFL level.
All right, you got anybody else, small college wise? Because I got a few I can throw at you. I don't know if you've seen them or not, though.
I have two more guys, and the first guy I'm going to bring up is Tariq Cohen. Played at North Carolina A&T. Kind of put that school on the map. I believe there was 3 or 4 guys that came out of the NFL last year from North Carolina A&T. They have a defensive back there. His name is Tamadre Abram, 6'1", about 205 pounds, 4.6 40. Not super fast, but the kid was great. He's going to be a good zone corner. You get a team that likes to play a lot of cover 2 and have them trail the receivers. This kid can do it with the best of them. One more kid got a lot of buzz down there at the Kennesaw State Pro Day from the Falcons and Seahawks was a tight end. His name's Sam Walker out of Mercer University. D1, I think it's a D1 AA school. You want to talk about separation? He's 6'3", 240 pounds, 4.7 40. But like you said, Coach, the ankles and hips to be able to turn and get the linebacker or safety's hips to turn. He's very good at that. He's a great blocker. Could play a little H-back. He's got some versatility to him. Another guy to keep an eye on, Sam Walker from Mercer University.
All right. Anybody else?
I can go on, but no, I'll save it for somebody else.
Well, Anthony, do you have any small college guys? Or
no.
any guys you have questions about? Okay.
Small college guys? No, that's too deep for me.
All right. How about a guy that may not be small college, but I think he's going to go later too, is an offensive guard from Wake Forest by the name of Phil Haynes. Has anybody seen him?
No. Can't say that I have.
Extremely athletic, which is what it kind of jumped out on a tape at me this morning when I was watching it. Of course, it's not tape anymore, but since I'm old, it's tape. But luckily, I'm not old enough where I say the film. And the thing about him to me was he was routinely really quick to notice and stop stunts on delayed blitzes in their tracks. And that is something that cannot be carried out by a slow-footed guard. So this kid has really quick feet, and he is, I think, like 6'3", 6'4", 325 pounds. He ran a 5.2 40, which is what Risley ran it at Lawrence Central High School. 31-inch vertical leap, which is 27 inches higher than Steve's vertical leap at Lawrence Central High School. Right, Steve?
No.
No,
But
what?
that's okay.
So you didn't run it that fast? Or didn't jump that high?
I had a 4.9 40 and a 36-inch vertical.
4.9 40, and you didn't have a 36-inch vertical.
Yes, I did.
Steve, I don't remember you ever dunking in an IU game.
I never got the opportunity to.
Well, you read the games. You just, all right, we'll let it go. Any other rumors you want to touch on, Anthony?
Just taking a look now. I'm not seeing anything new.
Okay. Well, anything that you get now that's a rumor is usually a BS lie anyways. So.
Well, we have the 49ers. They're shopping Solomon Thomas. I think that locks them into going interior defensive line or even an edge rusher. That's what they are going to do. I think they're a team that can trade back.
All right, so let's do this. When we look at edge rushers, which everybody talks about now, who is your best edge rusher in this draft, Anthony?
Top edge rusher in this draft, I think we talked about it already, and that's Josh Allen.
I know, but now we're going to get Zen, too, and then maybe we can argue with somebody. Zen, who do you think is?
I'm gonna go outside of the box here, this box anyway, and say Nick Bosa. He's got his brother's got the pedigree. His brother's, I think, top 3 in the NFL as far as pass rushers go. And I think his brother is going to come in and do just as good, if not better.
All right. The same question I have there is this. When I watched his brother in college, it seemed like he has a great first step, and he has a tendency to be able to run around people, get over their hips, and get to the quarterback. I don't see a bunch of moves from Bosa. Am I wrong here? I try not to watch too much Ohio State because their fans piss me off. But am I missing something here?
They say Bosa is loaded with moves.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him except for I think he played against Toledo this year. I'm just asking.
And that's the thing. I'm torn between Allen and Bosa.
Well, see, my thing is the reason I like Allen better is because Allen can play outside backer, and he is a decent coverage linebacker, so you kind of get a 2-for-1 with him.
Well, that would require, he may be a better system fit for a team, but I think Bosa can play either or. I think he can put his hand on the ground or play standing up.
So you think he could play outside backer and cover a running back or a tight end?
I do. I think he could, like most guys in the NFL, he can keep up with them for the first 10 yards. I think he's very capable cover guy.
Do you think Go ahead.
No, go on. I was going to say, any chance we see Bosa go number 1 overall? I mean, what's the reality of that?
I think it's possible. I mean,
absolutely.
Especially if they're not going to trade Josh Allen and they've decided to keep Josh Rosen, and they're not going to draft Kyler Murray. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, then you're at the point if you don't trade down, then you're trying to get the best player available. Plus, I would think, Zen, Steve, there's some guys below here picking 5th, 6th, 7th that may love to have a Bosa or an Allen.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, and if the Cardinals are smart and they don't love him, I mean, you're going to have to love the guy to take him number 1 overall. If you don't absolutely love him and you've got a lot of holes on that roster, let's be honest. They could trade for extra picks and put some more young guys on the field and see what they have. But I think that you have to consider him to be a number 1 pick. Look at the talent, look at the speed, the change of direction ability, the moves. He's going to be a good football player in the NFL.
Yeah, and I think if nothing else, the Niners will probably take him. My problem is the Niners took that risk on Solomon Thomas, and 2 years later they're trading him. So I think it's safe to say edge pass rusher. Do you think that that's tough to convert from playing college as the edge to the NFL as an edge? I'll start off with Anthony.
I don't know if it's tough to convert. I think if the scheme fits, then the player should be able to develop.
Zen?
I agree with that to a point, but like we said earlier, you're going to have more than 2 moves. You're going to have, because the tackles that you're going to face in the NFL aren't from Dayton, so your moves are going to have to be solid. Your change of direction is going to have to be exceptional. And if you feel, and if that's the case, yeah, you can make that transition. That the transition won't be hard for you. The thing that I think with a lot of these guys is the coaching. Can you teach this guy to beat the guy with your hands, beat him with a head fake? It's all about coaching at the NFL level with some of these great athletes that are going to be good once they get in there. The coaching will make them better. So yeah, I think it's going to be the same thing, except you're playing against better players.
All right, Risley, why were you not a defensive end? You were like 6'8", 240, weren't you?
It's really, No, college. No, I was only about 220 in college. It was about 100, 200.
Well, still, I mean, we could make it 240, 250. You could have been playing in the NFL a few years later.
It's funny because Gil Brandt was a good friend of Knight's, and they came to me and asked if I wanted to try out for tight end with the Cowboys. And I was like, no. So, but retrospectively, I probably should have went and done it.
You could have won more championships.
Shit. Actually, it means your Cowboys would have won less championships than.
Always on me.
Why?
I'm trying to be nice.
All right. So, if you're to...
The program's called the Grueling Truth. Don't hold back on it.
Yes. The Cowboys did approach me, and Gil Brandt came to me, hey, you want to come down and give it a try? And, I just said no, I didn't want to. I was going over to Europe to play basketball. But, yeah, retrospectively, probably would have been fun.
Yeah. I like Bosa. I'm watching the film now. I haven't seen much on him.
I thought the better one, though, was, I played quarterback in high school, and I get a phone call from Barry Switzer at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And, hey, you want to come out here and play quarterback? I'm like, yeah, right.
Well, remember, he had Troy Aikman running the option at Oklahoma in the mid-'80s.
Yeah, and he left the program.
Yes, he left with a broken leg.
Yeah. But no, I said, right, Coach, in about 1 year, I'll be a 270-pound defensive end. I will never throw a pass for Oklahoma. You don't run a passing offense.
All right, let's do this, Steve. You're a Colts fan. What do you want to see the Colts do tonight? They picked 26. Where do you want them to go?
Pick draft-wise?
Yeah.
I'd like to see them shore up their defensive line. I think we get punched too many holes, and that hurts us, and we give up too many 6-7 yard runs right up the middle. We need to shore up our defensive line. We need to. You and I talked earlier, not having an edge rusher, just let Mahomes run free back there, and that's what killed the Colts in that game. Well, there were a lot of things that killed the Colts in that game. Luck did not have a good game. But I think they need defensive line shore up. We talked about the cornerback, and it'd be nice to add, another wide receiver. Funchess, they picked up Funchess. It was good to go with T.Y. Hilton, but it'd be nice to have a third one. But I'd say their immediate need would be defensive line and an edge rusher. And I don't know where they're picking. You said 26?
26, yeah.
So I don't know what's going to be available at that point in time. So.
What do you think of this kid, Dalen Mack?
Who?
Dalen Mack, defensive lineman from. Hold on, let me get my information. I think he's going to slide down there to 26. I know he's rated pretty high, but he would be the perfect fit for the Colts defense because they play I think they're a 3-4 team if I'm not mistaken, and I think he fits that zero technique or the one technique very well.
Dalen Mack, is that the interior? He's from Texas A&M, correct? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they've got to shore up the defensive line because we just get punched out too quickly. The only good thing I feel about the Colts is, picking up Quentin Nelson and then Darius Leonard. They know how to pick right. I mean, they took Darius Leonard in the third round. They got him in the third round. So I think wherever they pick, I trust the brain trust of the Colts now. That they're going to get the right player and the right fit. And they showed us last year they'll make a good choice. What will fit in and help the team? Because obviously those two guys changed the Colts and turned them around. And that with Luck coming back, they need some more offensive firepower for Luck to throw to. But more importantly, they need to shore up that defensive line.
I think they're okay with offensive firepower considering the year they had last year. But I said this on this show and I said it on my show. Excuse me. After what Damian Williams was able to do to them in the divisional round playoff game, they absolutely need an interior defensive lineman, and they can end up with a Dexter Lawrence or a Jeffrey Simmons at that spot.
Yeah, Simmons is interesting to me because I think Simmons is one of the top 3 guys here, but he had the ACL injury a while back. But that's what I told Steve. He could come out and be healthy when you get to December when you need him the most.
Right. Yeah, then that's true. But also remember, too, the Colts still have the most cap space of any team in the NFL. They didn't spend a lot of money.
What
with
doesn't
the
matter
$118
here,
million
though,
that they had.
unless they're going to trade.
They're draft driven. They've got good. Chris Ballard is one of the best evaluators in professional football, and his guy right below him, Rex Hogan, great guy, excellent talent evaluator. They're in good hands now with those guys.
Right. I feel this way about it. Whatever the Colts do, it will improve that football team.
Well, and I think when you look at
believe
this
that.
and you talk about a guy like Dalen Mack, the thing is there's going to be stud defensive linemen into the second and third and even fourth round on this draft, Zen. That's how loaded the D-line is, I think, here.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yes, it's loaded.
All right, so Zen, what do you want to see the Chicago Bears do?
They don't have a pick till third round from the Khalil Mack trade, so I'm going to look at it. Their first. They don't have a second round pick this year either because they packaged it in.
What's your biggest need with the Bears?
Running back.
And see, running back is you can get a good running back in the third or fourth round.
Yes, and I think the kid I like the most is Miles Sanders out of Penn State.
I like him too.
Kid, versatile, catches the ball out of the backfield, can run between the tackles. Can take the load, 20, 25 carries a game if they need him to. And catch 5 passes a game. Be like their who's the running back for the Colts? Kid catches the ball out of the backfield.
Hines.
Oh, Hines.
Marlon Mack.
Yeah. Marlon Mack. Good. Can run between the tackles and catch the ball out of the backfield. I like Mack. He was a steal, and I think this Miles Sanders kid will fall to the Bears, and that's who they'll pick.
All right, Anthony, what about your Cowboys? They don't pick till the, second round?
Yeah, in the second round, and I think that they have an opportunity to draft best available player, and there will be value in the second round. There always is, and this is going to be a pick that the Dallas Cowboys can't miss on. They're in a position where they can make a deep run this year, and they need to draft a player that can – make an immediate impact, almost like Leighton Vander Esch did last year. And with Jason Witten transitioning into coaching, he's going to be playing limited snaps. They don't have much behind him. I know last year the Eagles kind of jumped in front of Dallas to pick up Dallas Goedert. I think Dallas will get whatever tight end falls to them at that second round pick. Could be an Irv Smith.
Hey.
Go ahead, Steve.
Mike.
Yeah.
Backing up. I just got an email from the Colts.com, and they did their final mock draft. The Colts have got themselves picking Jerry Tillery.
I hope they do, because that'll prove Chris Ballard is not a genius. But what's your take on Jerry Tillery? I already know what me and Anthony is. What do you got, Zen?
Actually, I haven't even heard of him.
Come on, he plays at Notre Dame.
He's Notre Dame, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Steve thinks Notre Dame's the greatest football program in the history of Western civilization. He's a Notre Dame fan.
I'm not too far off.
Yeah, you are.
If
we had this show 40 years ago, then
Holy crap! He's 6'7".
Yeah.
6'7". He's a defensive tackle.
And he has a couple of red flags.
He has a lot of red flags.
Yeah, a lot of red flags.
But what the hell?
That's not a Chris Ballard guy. I'm sorry. They may have him picking him if the guy's got red flags.
This is the Colts. This is the Colts mock draft. I mean,
but that's not
Colts
coming from Chris
draft.
Ballard. I mean, that's just some writer for the Colts that goes on and gives his opinion. And this is the thing. The thing you got to remember is this. It's possible he was told to write that mock draft with Jerry Tillery's name in it because they're running an entire smoke screen to do something entirely different.
Right. I get it.
Now, his grades, I'm looking here at NFL.com. They've got him at a 6.03, which, they say should become an instant starter. I mean, he's a freak athlete, 4.93, 40, 23 reps on the bench, a 32-inch vertical leap, and a 115-inch broad jump. He's a freak athlete. Red flags, I don't think Ballard, values those kind of guys, I think they'll go in a different direction, even if he's there.
Yeah, if you're looking at grades, if you look at his grades at Notre Dame, you'll see that he didn't really do that good. He didn't show up to class very often. Luckily, Brian Kelly's the coach there now instead of Ara Parsegian, so they'll be all right. But I think Tillery is a hell of a defensive football player, but there's a lot of questions there. So that means, Anthony, you know what that means? He's going to be a Bengal or a Cowboy.
No. Speaking of the Cowboys, they're reportedly shopping Taco Charlton.
I forgot they even had Taco Charlton. Did he play last year?
Not well enough.
I didn't think so.
He's a corner, right?
No,
corner
he's an edge rusher. Or he's supposed to be an edge rusher.
Oh, okay.
That's to what we were talking about before, about transitioning. If he gets traded to another team and a scheme fits him better, he could be what we thought he would be.
Taco Charlton?
Yeah.
No, he can't.
You're not a fan?
Go back and look what I wrote about him 2 years ago. It was similar to Jerry Tillery. Taco Charlton, his big problem at Michigan was he had a tendency to look bored. He didn't play real hard. He was considered lazy. And I know one of the coaches up there who said that this is a dude that would fall asleep during meetings and get kicked out of the meetings all the time.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, the best defensive matchup for him would be an XFL team. Go ahead, Zen.
Yeah, and I was going to say that, talent can only, in the NFL, everybody's talented. You can't get by with just talent in the NFL. You have to be you have to use your brain, and you have to be a good character guy, or you won't last there very long.
Well, I don't know about the good character guy because we've seen a lot of guys last a while without good character. But they worked hard while not having good character.
Truth.
But, all right, guys.
But, that's what I would value. If I was an NFL franchise, there's enough talented, hard-working kids out there that don't have the problems. Unfortunately, NFL teams don't see it that way. If you're a good athlete, a better athlete than the kids that are squeaky clean, they're going to take a shot at the jerk. But
all right. So what we've established,
I'm not built that way.
What we've established in these 55 minutes is I really like Zen now because these other guys always bust my balls when I talk about character, especially Anthony Cervino.
What do I don't bust your balls about character.
Oh, yeah, you do. Randy Gregory, and he has before, hadn't he, Steve? Just tell him.
No. How can you put the words cowboy and character in the same sentence? That's an oxymoron right there if there ever was one. Cowboys and character don't go together. Starting with the owner of the damn team.
I want players with good character, but I also believe the ones who don't have the best character deserve a second chance.
Now, why are you rooting for the Cowboys if you want teams with good character?
I agree with that. Everybody deserves a second chance.
Yeah, but it's when you get to the third, the fourth, and the fifth chances that I have a problem with.
Including getting high on draft day and costing him $10 million. And I coached that kid in high school.
Now, how stupid is that? You don't have a brain. I'm sorry.
I know. And usually, Zen, when you get a kid that does stupid stuff like that, usually you can look back at their high school coach, and that's where it comes from.
I didn't coach him in football. I coached him in basketball.
It doesn't matter, Steve. It's all the same to me. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. We are going to be back tonight. Zen, you coming back tonight too?
Absolutely.
And we will add Matt Minnick, former college football coach who now writes for the CincinnatiJungle.com. Matt Andrews-Scavage, who writes for us and the Niner Empire. Plus, we will have special guests throughout the night. I know confirmed is Joe Kelly, former Super Bowl 23 Bengals linebacker, who will be at the Cincinnati Bengals in the Bengals draft war room to talk to us when the Bengals come up to pick. And we may have a couple other special guests if I get the time to call them and ask them. But you can hear our live draft show tonight on Zeno Live Radio. You can hear it on thegruelingtruth.com. You can hear it at Spreaker. You can hear it on our iTunes app. It'll be live on there also. And afterwards, you can hear it on the podcast for the rest of eternity. We're going to wrap it up for now, though. We will be back at 7:45 Eastern tonight with the Grueling Truths Live NFL Draft Show, brought to you by the Love Harder Project and a couple other places that we'll bring up tonight once I get the commercials cut for them, so we're never good to go. But we're going to wrap it up. I want to remind everybody you can hear all of our shows on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, Zeno Radio, YouTube. Basically anywhere you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Anthony Cervino, Zen Bliss, Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.